All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another DC Worlds Collide video. This is Mr. Squirrel. As always, glad to have you here. So, picked up the early copy of Judo Master. We're going to talk through his kit a little bit. This dude has insane levels of potential, and I am very surprised by his kit, or especially his team synergy, because I was not anticipating its generality. And what I mean by that, it has some broad implications. I think there's a lot of potential with it. So let's talk about it. So I want to start with his team synergy, because I think the team synergy for these characters is the most important thing in the world. So all deployed allies at base rank, I am not actually going to run his team synergy today, simply because I want to wait to run it until it's rank 2. Because rank 2 is when it actually becomes a little bit more different. Just showing it at rank 1 is just not a good indication of what it actually does. It is very minimal at best. It is missing a lot of parts to it. So I am going to wait to use this team synergy. I might try it a little bit to just show it off in maybe an easier event. But I don't also have the full characters built up from this. We'll talk about it later. I will go over it in a little bit, but we will talk about it. But whenever you inflict armor break, a random anti-hero ally gains 2 stacks of hard hit. Now, we are going to test this a little bit later today, because I do need to see with Vigilante, who can apply 2 different armor break to 2 different characters because of his auto. This could get very, very interesting. Now, at rank 2, and this is where this is it's all about hard hit. All deployed allies attack, HP, defense plus 9%. When you inflict armor break, a random anti-hero ally gains 2 stacks of hard hit. At the start of each round, all allies gain 2 stacks of hard hit. So at the beginning of a round, everyone gets 2 hard hit, 2 stacks of hard hit. Now, you might be asking, so then what is hard hit? So let me see if I can pull it up. I think, okay, actually, you know what we're going to do? It's on Weasel, so I can show what it is. Hard hit. This is just a little I wish I could. There it is. Hard hit increases damage dealt from the next non-ultimate attack by 10% per stack. All stacks are consumed on the next attack. Max stack 55% of 5. Max stacks of 5. So that means you can increase the next attack someone does up to 50%. That can be pretty nutty. Now, we're going to talk through a few things and what I'm kind of thinking with this team. Now, there are a lot of ways my brain is kind of going with this. His skills also. So his ultimate, I think, is one of the more interesting parts, which is kind of interesting that both Judo Master and Mr. Terrific had very interesting ultimates. So his is pretty much, it focuses energy. Judo Master hits both enemies in the front row 3 times, dealing physical damage equal to 1% of his attack strike each. He also inflicts 1 stack armor break for 1 turn on each enemy. I'm wondering if that's going to be 3 stacks because it's for each hit, or if it's just 1 stack total. The middle enemy in the back row receives physical damage equal to 200% of Judo Master's attack, inflict with silence for 1 turn. That's pretty dope. And the other enemies in the back row receive physical damage equal to 50% of Judo Master's attack. So it's kind of like this big wide cone. It's like a big AoE. Is he ranked as AoE? Crit, control, self-heal, silence, armor break. No, he's not. Okay. His basic will find the enemy with the most armor stacks. He will then go after that enemy, dealing 40% of his basic attack, or 40% of his attack. He does that 4 times, so about 160% total damage. That goes up to 50% if the target enemy is not already inflicted with fragile. Judo Master now inflicts 2 stacks of fragile. Woohoo! His rank 9 is nutty. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Rank 9. Woo. Judo Master's ability to discern and exploit weakness makes him 50% more likely to deal critical hits to enemies inflicted with armor break. So essentially, as long as you're doing a lot of armor break, you'll be hitting a critical hits pretty normally. So you don't need to build crit on this character whatsoever. And then finally, passive. Judo Master's years of hardening, honing his body has paid off with a 15% physical damage reduction. Now, when Judo Master takes, he heals 5% of. When he takes physical damage, he heals for 5% of his maximum HP. Physical damage reduction goes up to 30%. Okay, so I mean, it's a little heal, helps him stay alive for a little bit longer. Again, still a little susceptible to superpower damage, so we'll say that much. Overall, I think overall he has a good kit. I will say this, his best friend is going to be Vigilante. Vigilante is definitely going to be his best friend. Now, the more I've been kind of playing around with this, I do think Vigilante's best build is, originally I was thinking like a 4-speed, 2 HP. I actually am going to push back against my own thoughts on that one. I actually think you want to build him kind of full damage, just because I have many thoughts on how to build this team. Part of me is actually even wondering if Lex Luthor is the way to go on this team for more. The shields would be really nice just for the added survivability, which this team will need. I think no matter what this team needs, I know Peacemaker has got a lot of heals, but I'm looking for a lot of preventative damage, with which I think Peacemaker will be one of the better, not Peacemaker. Peacemaker is a very good character for this team, but I do think Lex Luthor is actually a really good backup option. And or also another character that's very good is going to be Grodd. Grodd does have what am I trying to say right now? Grodd does have armor break on his basic. So Grodd will also be a really good character in terms of tanking. We're going to demonstrate this on a block team. I like to use the block team as just a general team to kind of demonstrate on, because it's very, it has a lot of protection. So it makes it so I can kind of show these teams off a little bit more. I will do another video. We're going to do 2 teams today. I am going to show Weasel on this team. Weasel is not built up though. So that video is going to be very long. Some of this will not be the best, showcases in the world, but at the same time, it's just I don't have access to a lot of the anti-heroes. I need 3 total anti-heroes on the team for Judo Master's team synergy. I think when Bride does get a buff, that will be a lot easier. The other thing that I do want to note, sorry, I'm not even looking at Judo Master right now, that I do want to note about his affinity. Now, something popped up. I think one thing is you can run this team in multiple iterations. I think there's going to be an armor break version that you can run, and that will involve maybe like Peacemaker / Grodd and Batman, or an anti-hero version, which is going to be more of like the Peacemaker, the Bride, Weasel. The Batman version actually has got me very intrigued. Batman is going to synergize incredibly well with this team, because this is, if we notice, this team. Now, the reason I say this is whenever you inflict armor break, a random anti-hero ally gains 2 stacks of hard hit. Now, why is this important? Because I don't want like Peacemaker to be getting the hard hits. I want my Judo Master. I want my Vigilante. I want the characters that do tons of damage to be the ones getting the hard hit. The more anti-heroes you have on the team, the more those hard hit buffs are going to be spread out. Now, granted, if you are inflicting a lot of armor break, that can potentially work out. But at the same time, I would much personally rather have like 3 anti-heroes that are all very specific in the way they operate, and that they're doing tons of damage. And then I know they're going to be getting the hard hit buffs that will then make it so that I can almost like target it a little bit, versus so if I have 3 anti-heroes and then like 2 others like Grodd and Batman, then I know those 2 are going to be doing tons of armor break and my other characters are be getting the buffs. So these are just my general thoughts right now. Is it the right thoughts? I don't know. There's so many different ways. I don't have Peacemaker. I will just tell you Peacemaker is the, go-to character for this team. Unfortunately, I don't have him. So I'm going to be playing around with this team in different ways to make it work. All right, let's go in and test him out. All right, so we're back on the block team. I'm going to first start with Judo Master because we want to see his ult. I'm going to slow this down a little bit to ×2 so we can just see. All right, there's that armor break that we're looking for. And now that immediately caused Judo Master to... The only issue is the silence won't work here because there's no one in the middle slot, which is slightly annoying. Okay, we get the debuffs, they're not debuffs, the counterattacks. Okay, great. Now I just want to look at again what Judo Master is doing here. No stuns, that's totally fine. Now this will, there we go. Increase the armor break bonus. I am contemplating leaving him more towards the end. This will kill Judo Master again. Okay, so again, it is noted, I don't have the best build on him right now. But he is I I have kind of a similarly built Vigilante, and the Vigilante did kind of survive that there. He is very susceptible to damage. This is why the more and more I'm kind of like looking at these characters, when I look at the anti-hero team, I really want that team to be tanky because they're all about counterattacking, like surviving, counterattacking. And part of me actually almost wants to run an HP percentage piece on every single one of them. Will that reduce their damage? Yes. But at the same time, it makes them tankier because the way you run the anti-hero team is you don't have a lot of, you don't really run a support on that team. It's pretty much just all the anti-hero team and you wait for someone to attack and then you counterattack. Let's go back and let's kind of look at it because he did get kind of murked. Okay. So I had to think through different ways to kind of run this team because it's going to be a little tricky to get everything kind of working the way I want it to. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to actually have, we're doing Crisis Watch because it's a slightly lower in power and I can kind of demonstrate this. This is Judo Master's team, rank 5 or the rank 1. And we're going to see here, let's go down to, so Judo Master is going to attack first. We can also watch the stun. So there we go. We got the 2 armor breaks. He went after the person that had it. Now, what I want to do is get that stun there. Now, he actually will be pretty decent in this Crisis Watch because of the silence, which is kind of interesting to think about it. Because there is a lot of that silence will actually be quite beneficial for the team. And there we go, just increased it. Perfect. That silence is what got, triggers the Crisis Watch in general. But it's kind of interesting in the way that works. So every time you see it, I didn't actually get a chance to show this. So we're going to restart this really fast because I want to show his team synergy. So every time, so watch there. Now there's the hard hit. That's why his attack is doing so much damage there because he just got 5 stacks of hard hit because of the armor break. Now, again, look, there's the armor break there. Maybe because of how fast they're getting that armor break. I didn't realize it, but that's kind of interesting. They're getting 5 stacks of hard hit already. Maybe you do want 5 anti-heroes. That might be my bad. And it's not beneficial to have, maybe you want all 5 characters to be armor break. Interesting. Didn't think about that. Because of how much armor break you're inflicting with this team. That does make sense when you consider his team synergy and how much hard hit you have. And it kind of compensates that if everyone's running HP percentage on that team, then, or like at least one piece of HP percentage, then that can overall kind of, the hard hit can compensate for the fact that you have to run this team kind of bruisery versus, oh, he's eating the chips. That's cool. That you have to run this team kind of bruisery as opposed to, see, now this is going to be a little annoying because I don't have the, okay, now look at these hard hits that are just getting applied. This is super dope. Okay, now he's got the 5s. Is that they're just going max 5 hard hit? What? Me thinks that might not be intended because I'm getting 5 stacks automatically. Is it because each instance is applying separate, but still it's too many hard hits? That feels like a bug. Also, why didn't that increase the armor break stacks there? That was Vigilantes. Okay, we found 2 bugs. That did not increase the duration at all. Okay, devs, this needs to be fixed. That Vigilante did not increase the armor break duration of Deadshot there. That needs to be fixed, y'all. That's not good. Let's fix that, please. These hard hits, dude, this hard hit is nutty. This is nutty, dude. This team synergy has insane levels of potential in terms of damage. Insane levels of potential. You can build Judo Master. I would actually think just go full attack, maybe a little bit of HP in there. Give him some survivability. I'll come back. I'm not too worried about this. Again, we can see the silence here. That auto silence is very nice. Now you're seeing that there, those hard hits, man, like they dispel very quickly. So that's really nice in the fact that they dispel so fast. But man, they are There we go. And we just got that silence. Okay. That did hurt. Okay. Well, he's gone now. Again, I'm not trying to show to win this. I'm just trying to show the team. Remember, we have very low stats right now because, again, he does not, the Judo Master's team synergy is only at rank 1 right now, but you are seeing the application of these hard hits. Now, mind you, at rank 2, the team's even getting more hard hit because then it's at the beginning of the round. It's going to be nutty, which does synergize incredibly well with Peacemaker. Peacemaker will be a phenomenal unit on this team. However, if you don't have Peacemaker, there are other options. I am actually very curious about what they're going to do with Dr. Phosphorus in terms of ability to tank. I am kind of contemplating on pulling for more copies of Dr. Phosphorus and Weasel because I do think they're going to do some pretty crazy stuff when they get buffed, which we know they're getting buffed. I would imagine those buffs are going to be next week. So again, I do kind of feel bad that I did not get Peacemaker right now. I would really like Peacemaker, but at the same time, I'm curious to see what Dr. Phosphorus is going to do. Hopefully he will be strong enough to be a main tank, and then they rerun Bride next week because I do want to get a copy of Bride. Again, I did die there. That's totally fine. My goal was not to win, but to showcase what these units are doing. Again, they are only rank 5 and rank 7. This is not a strong team. Weasel was rank 3, but it was really kind of interesting to see the hard hit and the way it was getting applied all over the place. That will like severely drive up the team's damage. It will make the team overall a lot stronger. I think that you can, when we look back at this team synergy, I do think there's a bug though, because it says, look, gain 2 stacks of hard hit. I was getting 5 flat out. Now, maybe it was because there was multiple, because that made no sense that I was getting just 5 flat out. That is a bug that needs to be fixed because I was getting 5 straight out right away. Maybe it was a visual bug and I was only getting 2. I don't know, but I was getting 5 from the start. It would make sense if it was like 2, like when Vigilante shoots, that's armor break, right? Then that would be 4 total stacks of hard hit, because it's 2 separate instances of armor break. But in its current form, it doesn't make sense why I was getting a max of 5. And devs, that is a bug. You should fix that relatively soon. Also, Vigilantes was not increasing the duration as we saw with Deadshot. He immediately just popped off the armor break when it should have lasted at least another round, because it should have gone from 1 round of armor break to 2, because that's what his enhance does. Okay. Overall, I think this team has insane levels of potential. And I don't think you need to actually run fully an anti-hero team. I think that there is a really nice possibility of you running like Grodd, Batman, these, like, you can go like a full-on, armor break team with Batman and Grodd, and then the other 2 would be like Bride and Judomaster and Vigilante. And you have this crazy armor break team that's just going to be melting the defense, doing a ton of damage. Overall, I think Judomaster is really cool, and he is his team synergy is way more generalizable than I actually originally thought it was going to be, with like giving everyone on every round a hard hit. Guys, that's pretty dope. So, granted, we'll see the tier 3, which is going to be the counterattack, the first alt used, which is pretty amazing at the same time. We will see more of that when I will be summoning on Wednesday for him. And overall, I think he's looking really awesome. All right, folks, that's it for this video. As always, remember, failing is just your first attempt at learning.